Natural resources like trees, oil, water, and animals are very important to everybody on Earth. We rely on these resources more and more each year. The Living Planet, which is a report from the World Wildlife Fund, had calculated that the amount of natural resources that humans use has increased 30% each year. This is more than the amount of resources the Earth can supply, which has caused problems like deforestation, pollution, and rapid declines of different species of animals, like the bumblebee, which we will expand upon later on. Our need for these resources increase as the population on Earth increases. That means that our unlimited wants and needs are too much for Earth's scarce resources. This has worried many scientists who believe that the Earth will become exhausted due to our consumption. The WWF report predicted that, if nothing changes, we will need 2 planets to sustain the needs of the human population here on Earth. The main issue of overconsumption is the growing population on Earth. Right now, there are over 7 billion people here on Earth, and it is predicted to reach 9 billion by 2050. Earth's resources are not enough to fulfill the needs of all these people. In an article by The Guardian, it is reported that in 2015, humans have used up a year's supply of resources in only 8 months. This estimate was given by the Global Footprint Network, or GFN. They based their data on comparing humanity's demands and Earth's ability to regenerate these resources. The GFN noticed that the Earth's resources were not enough for human consumption, dating all the way back to the early 1970s. They also realized that the time that it took for human consumption to pass the amount of Earth's resources has become shorter and shorter due to the increase in the population throughout the years. The findings of natural resource economists are used by governments and organizations to better understand how to efficiently use and sustain natural resources. Economists provide data to determine how to balance the needs of societies now and preserve resources for the future. Each year, the U.S. Geological Survey estimates the amount of reserves, the quantities of mineral that can be economically extracted or produced at the time of determination. As reserves of a resource grow scarce, the price rises. So any price rises can be interpreted as a signal that the resource is getting scarcer. If, on the other hand, the price of a resource actually falls consistently and without regulatory interference, it is very unlikely that its effective stock is growing scarce. Effective stock is the total amount of physical inventory and replenishments ordered but not yet received. There are 3 ways the effective stock of a natural resource can increase. 1. A technological innovation. For example, say that in 1960, with known drilling techniques, only 40% of the oil at a site in Borger, Texas, could have been extracted at a cost ever likely to be acceptable. But by 2000, improved technology had raised this figure to 80%. In these cases, what occurs is not a rise in the physical quantity of oil, but an increase in the productivity of the remaining supply. 2. The ability to substitute virtually all resources for others. For example, it's like riding a bike instead of driving a car. Riding a bike instead of driving a car translates into savings of oil. 3. New technology and recycling. Say, for example, that a new recycling technique allows copper to be reused before it is scrapped, and that no such reuse was economical before. Then this technique has doubled the effective reserves of copper. The consistent decline of the natural honeybee population greatly affects a large percentage of the farming done in the United States. This story has gained attention in recent years due to the exponential decline in natural honeybee population. 1/3 of the food we consume is pollinated by honeybees. Foods such as fruits, vegetables, coffee, and chocolate depend on insect pollination. Most plants are totally dependent on certain types of bees for production of food. According to the Natural Resources Defense Council, more than $15 billion a year in U.S. crops are pollinated by bees. U.S. honeybees also produce about $150 million in honey annually. Unfortunately, bee populations are diminishing due to intensive and extensive pesticide use in the now lucrative commercial agriculture. Another reason for the decreased population is the conversion of natural environments into agricultural lands. In some parts of the United States, growers have begun to use commercial pollination due to the scarcity of honeybees. If a grower declines to use commercial pollination, they have the option of buying honeybees and having them brought to their location. The demand for honeybees has increased as well as the price. Water is actually a scarce natural resource, which is scary because we all use it all the time. It is actually becoming scarce all around the world. 50 countries around the world are experiencing moderate to severe water stress on a year-round basis, and 27 countries are importing only half of the amount of water that they consume. As you can see on the graph, the areas colored in red and orange are places that experience water scarcity many months out of the year. Most of these areas, unfortunately, are densely populated. Why is it becoming so scarce? Water can be used as a source of energy when dams, aqueducts, and wells are used. But unfortunately, this depletes the water and does not adequately replenish rivers, lakes, and oceans. According to the website geography.com, the average American lives a consumer lifestyle that requires approximately 2,000 gallons of water a day. Only about 5% of that is used for drinking and utilities, and the rest is used for energy, to produce food, and in the products that we buy. But with fresh water only making up about 2.5% of the total volume of the world's water, according to theguardian.com, it is no wonder why the demand for water might soon exceed the supply. Future generations will need to conserve their water use and find better alternatives for energy to solve this problem.